moment as a mom. It was probably in February of 2013. I just had my son. He was 9 weeks old, and I had went back to work. The second day of daycare, I noticed that he had a cold, which I thought was just from being in daycare. But I had a little weary feeling about that. So I called the doctor's office, and they told me to bring him in. And they tested him, and he had RSV. So they told me to give him breathing treatments. They give me medicine for him, and told me just to make sure that he kept hydrated with his bottles. So I went back home. I gave him a breathing treatment, tried to give him his bottle. He wouldn't take it. Tried again, he wouldn't take it. So I called back the doctor's office that afternoon, and they told me to bring him back over. So I brought him back over, and they looked over him, and they tested his oxygen level, and it had got down to 80. So the doctor there told me to head over to the ER. So here I am with a 9-week-old by myself and my 4-year-old. So I load him up in the car. I drive from Brazelton to Gainesville. The whole time I've got my hand back there making sure he's breathing. So I get to the ER, park the car, grab the carrier, 4-year-old, run into the ER, tell him what's going on, and they get him hooked up to everything. And so, side note is my husband had just started a job like 2 months before. So it was already the end of the day, so he was gonna come after work. And so I was back there at the ER, and the pediatrician come back there, and she was observing him. And I was thinking, I was kind of calm about it, but I also was a little anxious. But I was thinking, well, they might admit him, give him some fluids, antibiotics, and we'll be good. Well, the next thing I knew, the pediatrician had picked up the phone, and she called CHOA, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, and she ordered for a helicopter to come and pick up Colton. So she hadn't said anything to me, and so at that time, I was still calm, but my anxiety level got a little bit higher. And so my husband come, my parents come and got my daughter, and when the air flight team got there, they told me only one parent can fly on the helicopter and one can drive. Well, by this time, it was already the end of the night, and I didn't want to drive to downtown Atlanta by myself, so my husband said, you ride in the helicopter. And might add, I never rode in an airplane before in my life, and I'd only rode in a helicopter just touring like Gatlinburg. So I got in there with him, and we flew down. And so when we got down there, they hooked him up to everything, and they had to put an IV in his head because he was so little. And then to keep him from pulling out the tubes, they tie diapers around their hands, so it looks like little boxing gloves. But so he wouldn't pull out the oxygen, and they had him on high flow oxygen. And so we were in the room. It was like a teeny tiny hospital room, not the normal ones you see places, with a little metal cradle or crib in there. And so my husband had got down there, and we were there a week and 1 day, and he was on the high flow oxygen. And about every hour on the hour, they had to come in and put a tube through his nostrils to his lungs and suction him out. And to hear that blood curdling scream, suction him almost every hour, day and night, is like something you will never forget. And also being in that room for a week and 1 day with 2 visitors all week, besides my husband coming after work, it kind of gets depressing too. But the whole time, I just had a peace about it. Even though I knew I had to decide what I was gonna do when he got out, and I had to go back to work as well, where I was gonna take him or send him. And so I was just thinking this was about the scariest moment of being a parent and a mom.